EMI and AC. See that first question. A rectangular loop is being pulled at a constant speed V. So through a region of thickness D. So in which a uniform magnetic field B is kept. Setup. The graph between induced EMF E and position X of the right hand edge of the loop is okay. Here, what they're asking here, induced EMF. So when the loop is pulled inside, when the loop is pulled inside, the induced EMF will be in one direction and it is constant. And when it is pulled outside, out of the magnetic field, then the induced EMF will be in the opposite direction. So the correct option is B. So first it will be negative, then it will be positive. So correct option is B. Copy that, children. Done, children? Okay. See the next question. A square loop of side 5 centimeter enters with the speed of 1 centimeter per second in a magnetic field. The front edge enters the magnetic field at t equal to 0. Then, so which graph the best depicts EMF produced in the loop? Okay, so here when it is entering, so when it is entering, a constant induced EMF will be produced. Okay, and when it is leaving, the induced EMF suddenly falls down. So similar graph. Now 5 to 15, that is when it is traveling inside. So 5 seconds to 15 seconds, it will be traveling inside. 5 to 15 seconds. So as long as it is traveling inside, okay, there is no induced EMF. So when it is getting inside, there will be induced EMF in the opposite direction. When it is going outside also, there will be induced EMF. Okay, next. A uniform field exists in a region is given by, so they give the magnetic field. A rod of length L equal to 5 meter is placed along y-axis and is moved along x-axis with a constant speed of 1 meter per second. The induced EMF of the rod is, okay. So induced EMF is E is equal to L dot V cross B. Sorry, L dot V cross B. This formula. So L is along y-axis, so 5j cap dot. So V is along x-axis, so 1 into I cap cross B value. So 3I cap plus 4j cap plus 5k cap. Okay, so the induced EMF is given by 5j cap, 5j dot, I cross I 0, I cross j. So I cross j is k, that is 4k cap, and it is I cross k. So I cross k is minus j cap. So minus 5j cap. So now take the dot product. When you take the dot product, you will get, so minus 25 volt. They're asking only magnitude. Magnitude is 25 volt. Copy that, children. Next. The current through an inductor of 1 Henry is given by, so I equal to 3t sin t. The voltage across the inductor. You have to find the voltage across inductor. Voltage across inductor is given by E is equal to L into magnitude of this, L into di by dt. So L is 1 Henry, di by dt. Differentiate this, di by dt of 3t sin t. So this is equal to 1 into 3. So derivative of this. So 3 is constant. You keep t as constant. Derivative of sin t is cos t. And then you keep sin t as constant. Then derivative of t is 1. So this is equal to 3t cos t plus 3 sin t. Option C is correct. Copy that, children. Done, children? Next. An L-shaped conducting rod is moving in a transverse magnetic field as shown in the figure. Potential difference between the ends of the rod is maximum if the rod is moving with velocity proportional to. So here any curved rod or L-shaped rod can be replaced by a straight rod. It can be replaced by a straight rod. So when you replace that with a straight rod, then to have maximum EMF, velocity should be perpendicular to the straight line. Velocity should be perpendicular to straight line. That means velocity should be in the first quadrant. Only this option satisfies. So velocity should be perpendicular to length, the straight line. So then only the EMF will be maximum. Okay. So for maximum EMF, or else here I write, for maximum EMF, for maximum EMF, the velocity should be, the velocity will be perpendicular to the velocity will be perpendicular to the straight line. A straight line. Copy this, children. Yeah, it can be third quadrant also. Yeah. Yeah, it can be, but there is no third quadrant option, right? There is no third quadrant option. Yeah, see, this is positive, right? X component is positive. X component is positive. Both should be negative, right? Okay. Done. Go to the next one. Two conducting rings are moving on a smooth conducting horizontal surface shown. So there is a transverse uniform magnetic field of strength B in the region. Potential difference between highest point of the rings is 0 in this case. So had the rings been moving in opposite direction at the same speed, potential difference between the highest points would be, okay. Here you can replace these rings by rods. The length of this rod is 2r. The length of this rod we don't know. Say the radius is r2. Now BVL formula, BVL minus V into L will be 0 initially. So there is 6 BVR is equal to 2 BVR2. VV gets cancelled here. Okay, so VV gets cancelled here. Okay, so R2 equal to 3R. Now when they are in the same direction, they'll add up. That means each ring will produce 6 BVR. So each ring will produce 6 BVR. So the total EMF will be 6 BVR plus 6 BVR. They will add up. So that equal to 12 BVR. Copy that. Then children, next. So the circuit shown here is steady state. The time constant of the circuit is, see here, it is 6 millihenry. It is a printing mistake. It's not printed here, 6 millihenry. Now time constant is L by R. Time constant is L by R. Time constant is L effective by R effective when we have too many resistors and inductors. Now what is L effective? We calculate L effective is equal to 3 into 6 divided by 3 plus 6. So that equal to 18 divided by 9, that equal to 2 millihenry. Now what is R effective? So these two are in parallel, together they are in series with this. Okay, so R effective equal to 12 into 6 divided by 12 plus 6 plus 6. So which is equal to here, how much you'll get here? You'll get 10 ohm. Check it. So here it will be 72 divided by 18. So 10, 4 you will get 4 plus 6, 10. So now time constant is equal to L by effective by R effective. 2 into 10 to the power of minus 3 divided by R effective 10, that equal to 0.2 millisecond. Millisecond, it's not inverse. Wrong, millisecond. Okay. Option B. Figure shown, plane figure made of conductor located in the magnetic field along the inward normal to the plane. The magnetic field starts diminishing, then induced EMF. So here there are two loops here. So there are two loops here. So here magnetic field is diminishing. The induced field also will be into the screen. When induced field, if the induced field has to be into the screen, then current should be clockwise in both the loops. Current should be clockwise. So at point P, the current is anti-clockwise, wrong. At Q, wrong. At Q, it is clockwise, correct. At R, it is anti-clockwise, no. So only option C. Apply Lenz law. Apply Lenz law. At R, it is either left or right. You can't say it is anti-clockwise or clockwise. Next question. So a series LCR circuit driven with ERMS is given, frequency is given, inductance, capacitance, capacitor reactance, and unknown resistance. For what value of R, power factor is 0.9. Power factor is equal to cos pi is equal to R by Z. 0.9 is equal to R by Z. Z is nothing but XL minus XC whole square plus R square. So 0.9 is equal to R value, R divided by, so XL minus XC is nothing but 10. Okay, 10 square plus R square, squaring on both sides. 0.9 whole square is equal to R square divided by 100 plus R square. Simplify, you will get the answer as 20 ohm. Okay, so if you simplify, check it, 0.81 equal to R square by 100 plus R square. When you multiply, you'll get 81 plus 0.81 R square equal to R square. To send here, 81 equal to 0.19 R square. R square equal to okay, so R square equal to 81 divided by 0.19. So R equal to root power 81 divided by 0.19. How much is that? Check it. You'll get close to 21. Close to 21. Copy that, children. Yeah, 20.6. Okay. Then next question. A semicircle conducting rod MPN of radius R is placed along XY plane. The XY plane as shown in the figure. A uniform magnetic field is set up along the Z-axis. Net EMF induced in the rod if. So here you can replace the curved rod by straight rod. Now we have magnetic field along positive Z-axis. So if you move the wire only along y-axis or negative y-axis, there will be induced EMF. Okay, so only along y-axis. So when velocity, magnetic field, and the length are perpendicular to each other, then induced EMF will be maximum. Then induced EMF will be maximum. So it is along y-axis. An induced EMF is produced when a magnet is plugged into a coil. The strength of the induced EMF is independent of resistivity of the material. It depends on strength of the magnet. Depends on strength. 1 minute. It depends on strength. Depends on number of turns. Depends on speed only. It doesn't depend on this. So option C. Induced EMF in a rod of length L translating at a speed V makes an angle theta with the length perpendicular to the magnetic field. So now, what is induced EMF? BVL sin theta. There is magnetic field like this. Now, they have a rod like this, and it makes an angle theta. It makes an angle theta. Now, it is moving like this. So you can replace you have to take perpendicular length L sin theta is equal to L dash. Induced EMF equal to BVL dash. BVL sin theta. Copy that. You have to take perpendicular length to velocity or velocity perpendicular to length. Done, children? Next question. So when current I passes through an inductor of self-inductance L, energy stored in it is half L square. It is stored in the form of magnetic field. That's it. It will be stored in the form of magnetic field. The mutual inductance between two coils depends on medium between the coils, separation between the coils, so orientation, all of the above. Correct answer is all of the above. So in a coil of resistance 10 ohm, the induced current developed by changing the magnetic flux through it is shown in the figure. So the magnitude of change in the flux through the coil in Weber is. So area under AT graph gives you charge. Area under AT graph, IT graph. So area under IT graph, current time graph gives you charge. Area under IT curve gives us charge. Gives us charge. So Q is equal to half into base into height. So 0.1 into 4, that is equal to 0.2 coulomb. Now induced charge is equal to change in the flux divided by resistance. 0.2 is equal to d pi divided by resistance is 10. So d pi is equal to 2 Weber. This is the answer. Copy that. The inductance between A and B, all of them are in parallel. All of them are in parallel. See here, if I say the potential of this point as VA, this point is also VA. If I say the potential of this point as VD, the potential of this point is also VD. Between VA, VD, we have 3 inductors. Okay, so when there are 3 identical inductors in parallel, the effective inductance is L by 3. How we do for resistors, same way we'll do. So L effective is equal to L by 3. So that is 3 by 3 equal to 1 Henry. Copy that, children. Next, the north pole of a bar magnet is moved towards a coil along the axis passing through the center of the coil and perpendicular to the plane of the coil. The direction of inducer current in the coil, so when viewed from the direction of the motion of the magnet, is anti-clockwise. So if you move the coil like this is the north pole, this is south pole, then here north pole will be formed. To form north pole, current will be in the anti-clockwise sense. So when you move the bar magnet away, this is the north pole, this is south pole, you move it away, then current will be clockwise. Next, the mutual inductance of pair of coils is 0.7 Henry. If the current in primary coil changes from 0.5 ampere to 0 in 0.01 second, find the average induced EMF in the secondary coil. So average induced EMF is equal to M into di by dt, magnitude. That is equal to M. M is how much? 0.7 di by dt, pi minus 0 divided by time, 0.01. So that is equal to 0.7 to pi divided by 10 to the power of minus 2. So it is equal to 0.7 into 500. So it is 35 volt. It's not 37.5. It's a printing mistake. It is 35 volt. Have you that settled? Yeah, 35 only. Yes. Next. Two coaxial solenoids are made by winding thin insulated wire over a pipe of cross-section area length they give. If one of the solenoid has 300 turns and another 400 turns, mutual inductance of two solenoids is mu naught capital N1 capital N2 A divided by L. That is 4 pi into 10 to the power of minus 7, 300 into 400 area. So 10 centimeter square, 10 into 10 to the power of minus 4 divided by L is 0.2. Simplify, you'll get the answer. Option D. Simplify. Done, children? Okay. Got it? Next. In an AC generator, the coil with the N turns all of the same area A and total resistance R rotates with a frequency omega in a magnetic field. The maximum value of the EMF generated is. So in AC generator, EMF value is NAB omega sin omega t. The maximum value will be, so when sin omega t equal to 1, maximum value will be when sin omega t equal to 1. So E max is equal to NAB omega. Copy that, children. Then next. With the increase in frequency of an AC supply, inductive reactance so what will happen to inductive reactance? So XL is equal to omega L. XL is equal to 2 pi FL. So it is directly proportional to frequency. So increases directly with the frequency. Children, next. When an AC voltage 220 volt is applied to the capacitor C, power delivered to the capacitor per cycle is 0. This is correct. When AC voltage is applied to pure inductor or capacitor, the power delivered is 0. Next, with the increase in frequency of an AC supply, the impedance of LCR circuit, what will happen to impedance of LCR circuit? See here. Impedance is given by root over XL minus XC whole square plus R square. Z is equal to 2 pi FL minus 1 by 2 pi FC whole square plus R square. So when you have such a function, so it decreases and then increases like this. It becomes minimum and then increases. So option D. Next. In a series resonating circuit having LCR as its elements, resonant current is I, the power dissipated is. So at resonance only resistor will be effective. At resonance only resistor will be effective. That will be part of circuit. So power dissipated is equal to I square R. That's it. Like normal resistor. Like normal resistor. Next. A transformer voltage induced in the secondary coil of a transformer is mainly due to, see, transformer already, you know, this is the input, this is the primary circuit, okay, and this is the secondary circuit, okay, this is output voltage. Now, so this is mainly due to varying magnetic field, okay. So induced EMF in the secondary coil is only due to varying magnetic field. Which of the following statements are correct? If resonance is short, so not only is the maximum current less, the circuit is close to resonance for a large range. That's correct. So if the circuit is so sharp, you can select more number of channels. Less sharp, the resonance, less is the selectivity of the correct. If it is less sharp, then you cannot select more number of channels. So if quality factor is large, so then R is low and L is large, the circuit is more selective. Correct. All the three statements are correct. I explained this concept. All three statements are correct. Yes. Next. See this question, children. The given circuit, the reading of voltmeter V1, V2 are 300 volt each. The reading of voltmeter V3 and ammeter A are respectively. So here, if VL equal to VC or XL equal to XC, then the circuit is said to be in resonance. If VL is equal to VC or XL is equal to XC, then the circuit is in resonance. So now the circuit is in resonance. In resonance, only resistor will be effective. So current will be, so total EMF divided by, current will be total EMF divided by EMF by total resistance. The resistance means only 100. So it is 2.2 ampere. Voltage across that will be R into I, that equal to 220 volt. All the voltage will appear across the resistor only. Actually, this is correct, but it is 2.2 ampere. It's wrong. 2.2 ampere. Okay, children. Copy that. Yes, children. So in the given circuit, the current drawn from the source is, okay. Here to find the current drawn from the source, see here. So R equal to 20 ohm, okay, XL equal to 10 and XC equal to, so first to find the current in this. So in XC, say it is I1, say it is I2, say it is I3. So what is I1, children? I1 equal to RMS value. Simply if they ask you current, you take the RMS value. Okay. So or else you can also calculate peak value. 1 minute. Okay. So I1 equal to what? I1 equal to 100 divided by 20. That equal to, okay, we calculate peak value only. So they are in parallel, same voltage will be applied. Is equal to 5 ampere. I2 equal to 100 divided by 10, that equal to 10 ampere, and I3 will be equal to, I3 is equal to that is 100 divided by 20, that equal to 5 ampere. Now, since AC voltage is applied, so the current in through capacitor will be ahead of applied voltage. So this is I3 and this is I2. Now what is I2? 10 ampere. What is I1? 5 ampere. So here I1 and I2 are anti-parallel to each other. So I1 and I2 are anti-parallel to each other. So I2 minus I1 is 5 ampere. I2 minus I1 is 5 ampere. And this is also 5. I3 is also 5 ampere. So the net of these two, when there are two vectors at an angle of 90, the net of those two is pi root 2 ampere. So I net will be pi root 2 ampere. Copy that, children. After calculating the current, see here. After calculating the current, see, say this is applied voltage direction. The current through resistor will be in the direction of applied voltage. The current through capacitor will be ahead of applied voltage by 90. The current through inductor will be lagging behind by 90 degrees with the applied voltage. That's what I did here. Assume them to be vectors. Assume the currents to be vectors. Assume the currents to be vectors. That's it. Now I2 minus I1. So I2 is one vector, I1 is another vector. I2 and I1 are anti-parallel. So I2 minus I1. So 5 ampere. And here I3 is 5 ampere. What is the angle between these two? 90. So when we have two equal vectors at an angle of 90, then what is the net vector? Root 2 times of one of the vector. That's it. Okay, children. So when we have two equal vectors at an angle of 90, then it is root 2 times of one of the vector. Copy that. Okay, this question is wrong. Actually, they should have given cos omega t here. Is cos omega t. If this is sin omega t and this is cos omega t, what is the phase difference? 90, right? Now treat this as one vector, this is another vector. Then net, E net is equal to, they're asking RMS value. First you will get E naught value. E naught value is equal to root over 8 square plus 6 square, that equal to 10. Now they are asking ERMS. ERMS equal to 10 by root 2, that equal to 5 root. That's the answer. Same like superposition of assertions. Okay, next, last one, we'll finish it off. An inductor and resistor are connected in series to a battery of 15 volt. Okay, key K1 is being kept closed for a long time. Then at t equal to 0, K1 is open and K2 is closed simultaneously. So when K1 is closed long time, so it will get full charge. Now, what is the current in the circuit? We have to calculate I naught. I naught is equal to, now then inductor behaves like a resistanceless wire. So 15 divided by So 0.15 into 10 cube. So this is 10 times. So I naught equal to 0.1 ampere. Now, when K1 is opened and K2 is closed, then it is becomes discharging circuit. So now in discharging circuit or charging circuit, current will be equal to, current is equal to, so this is how you calculate current, whether it is a discharging circuit or charging circuit. I is equal to I naught into e to the power of minus RT by L. Okay, so I is equal to 0.1 into e to the power of minus R is how much? Okay, R by L value you can calculate separately if you want. So 0.15 into 10 cube divided by L is how much? 0.03 into T. Okay, so now here this is how many times? 5 times. So I is equal to 0.1 into e to the power of minus 5 into 10 cubed. 5 into 10 cubed into 10 cubed, since it is kilo ohm, into T after 1 millisecond. Millisecond means 10 to the power of minus 3. This will be cancelled. So I equal to 0.1 into e to the power of minus 5. So I is equal to 0.1 divided by e to the power of 5. So e to the power of 5 is 150. They are given as a question. 0.1 divided by 150, which is equal to approximately 0.67 milliampere. Milliampere. Copy that, children.